Hi everybody, this is Lydia. I'm here to talk through our ISTEP training to review our ethical testing procedures and give you the test administration training. We will review in this presentation test storage protocol, test administration protocol, ethical testing practices, and tasks that you will still need to complete prior to our test administration for the ISTEP Applied Skills Test. For test storage, you will be receiving a list of students who will be in your testing group. Typically, it's going to be students who are in your advisory, but that's not going to be absolutely true because of students who are receiving accommodations who will be in different groups. Daily, on the day of the test, you need to come to the office storage room and pick up your test books and sign them out. When you sign out the test book, you're attesting that all of the testing materials for your group are present, including the little rulers and anything else, calculators for your group. So make sure you count those out and you check everybody in your group has stuff that they need. When you return your tests at the end of the testing each day, they'll be counted by an administrator who will sign them into storage and attest that they are all there. The role of test examiners, and that's you, is to study the examiner's manuals, paying specific attention to the icons represented in the reading comprehension and calculated usage, reviewing the Code of Ethical Practices and Procedures, also known as Chapter 10, and reading all applicable portions of the current Indiana Assessment Program Manual. Further requirements that you're going to have to do. After you review this PowerPoint presentation, you must complete the quiz on my Weebly, so that we can show that you were trained. Review the full testing security procedures document for the corporation. There is a 16-minute WebEx available that you watched already this year that you can watch as a refresher. If you did not already watch this and sign your ethical practices and procedures, I will remind you that you still need to do that, but you are going to need to watch that 16-minute WebEx. Everybody needs to read the testing preparation, administration, and reporting document, which is available at that link, and the Code of Ethical Practices and Procedures available there. If for some reason these links aren't working for you, when in doubt, go to the IDOE website and type in assessment, and it'll all be right there. So for test administrations, like I said, you'll have a list that has the number of students and the names of those students in your group. In this example is what it's going to look like. Teacher, Mr. Bazat, grade 8, number of students in his group is 15. Beginning and ending serial number, which shows the range of the books that the serial numbers of the books of the students in his group. The time that he is signing them out in his initials, the time that they are being signed in my or whoever's signing them in's initial. The last day of the test, please return your group materials to me, having removed any scrap paper that is in those books and in alphabetical order. I have to check to make sure that I have every book in the whole school and make sure that we're not missing anybody, so it would very, very much be helpful if you could put them in alphabetical order. Thank you. Okay. Your responsibilities are to know and understand, read the Code of Ethical Practices and Procedures, read the applicable portions of the Indiana Assessment Program Manual, including Chapter 10, read our test security policy, read the examiner manuals, which you will receive, and sign the Indiana Testing Security and Integrity Agreement if you have not already done so. Testing Security Details, Part 1. These are the roles and responsibilities of test examiners. You're responsible for test administration at the classroom and student level. School support staff is responsible for handling secure test materials when asked to assist, such as helping to pack boxes, transporting test materials within the school or corporation. Secure storage, administration, and return of test materials. Most of this is going to fall under my responsibilities for securing storage, distribution, administration, tracking inventory, signing in and out, making sure tests aren't copied, returning all unused test materials and used, and ensuring that all test materials are secure. Alright, here's some more test security details. It is a violation of test security to give students access to test questions in advance, obviously. To coach students in any way during a test, which is to walk them through a problem. If they ask you, how do I answer this? Even as a teacher, you want to respond, but you can't. To copy, reproduce, or use in any manner any portion of a secure testing document for any reason. To alter any documents after testing except to erase stray marks, darken bubbles, or to darken bubbles. And it is a violation to score student responses on the assessment before returning the documents for storage. If you have a concern about a test item and you are reporting it to the Department of Education, you should refer to that item by grade level, content level, session number, and item level. Never make a copy or email the item itself, not even to the Department of Ed. Prior to testing, prepare students by providing standards-based instruction and using only former test items that have been approved and released by the IDOE. These are available on the IDOE website under the assessment page with the proper grade level. Do practice appropriate test-taking strategy with your students, which we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing this for the advisory contests on the walls. Many of you have already been doing this. Don't develop and use elaborate review materials, which we're going to review. The IDOE says that teachers need to be good consumers of practice items, making sure the items used truly align to standards and not making the items exclusively the curriculum. So elaborate review materials would be large packets of review items that take a significant time away from primary instruction, reviewing items that mirror actual test items, drilling students on items from a review booklet that comes from a textbook, or for digital curriculum, you need to use the same best practice, checking for alignment, and use appropriate use of items that align, which might include daily warm-up activities. Before the test, you will have access to the examiner's manuals. They will be given to your team leader, and the reason that we will be giving it to the team leader is that we have ordered more examiner's manuals, but we do not currently have enough for every teacher to have one, so you're going to have to share. The team leader is responsible for having a sheet that is a sign-in, sign-out sheet that will show who currently has the book. So for 7th grade, for example, it might say, Miss Nelson signs it out. She read it, and then she signed it back in, and then it was given to Mr. Zacher, and he signed it out, and he currently has it. So at any time, I should be able to ask the team leader who currently has your examiner's manuals. And you should be able to answer that question. And the reason that we need to be so careful with this is because the examiner's manuals are technically secure test materials. So we cannot lose them. We cannot not know where they are. And we're going to need them on the day of testing because I have ordered supplemental books that with the books we currently have and the ones that we're getting will be enough for the day of testing. But if we were to lose a book, we will not have enough for the day of testing, so please do not lose them. You all must read the examiner's manual prior to administering the ISTEP and take another quiz, which will again be on my Weebly. It's not up yet, but it will be soon. You will not be given access to student test books or answer documents prior to the actual test. For testing, on the day of the test, please collect, turn off, and monitor cell phones and other electronic equipment from students, but this also includes your cell phones, your iPads, and your laptops. You cannot be using any kind of electronic equipment during the proctoring, administering of this test. Please ensure that all students understand the test directions. Students can ask as many questions as they want about the directions, and you can answer any questions that you have about the directions. During the test, please monitor the test sessions, make sure that students are following instructions and responding in the appropriate places on the answer documents. If you notice that a student is responding in the improper place on their test document, you may tell them that they are not responding in the appropriate place. You can't show them what number they should be on, but if they're in the language arts section and they should be in math, you can tell them to go to the proper section of the test. Do not exchange answers and do not interfere with or distract others, the students obviously. Make sure the students are only using permitted materials and devices. Please do not leave the room, concentrate on other tasks, or ignore what is happening during the test. We want to make sure the students aren't doing anything inappropriate. Cell phones and other personal electronic devices are that are not directly used in the administration of the test are not permitted in the testing room. This includes students and adults. During the test, all test sessions must be given in order with one exception, which is if a student has been absent, they will begin or resume the test with their class. So if someone misses day 1 of testing and they come back on day 2, they will have missed the math test on day 1 and the English language arts test on day 1. They will then resume testing with their group on day 2, and then will make up the sessions that they missed from day 1. So when you are checking for the day of a test and you notice that a student is not present, you must note their name and what sessions they missed on a form that you will be given and return it with your test materials at the end of the day. So for example, somebody may be missing the first test session, but they come late to school and they show up for the second test session. So you would just write their name and math session, that day 1 that they missed. All test examiners must follow accommodations as outlined in a student's IEP, ILP, Section 504 plan or service plan. This should not apply to most people unless you have a special education license, in which case it will, and I will be speaking with you about your test groups and what accommodations your students have and all of that. Please review Chapter 10 of the Indiana Assessment Program Manual for more information about things that might happen during a test, such as what to do if a student becomes ill or other specific situations. If an issue or interruption to testing occurs, the test examiner or proctor must notify me, Mrs. Albin, immediately and let me know what's going on, and then we'll respond to whatever happens at that time. At the end of the test, all test materials must be taken to the filing room in the office and signed in immediately upon completion of the testing each day. They must be taken by a teacher or an aide. They cannot be transported by a student. On the final day of testing, as I mentioned, please remove any scrap paper and put it in the box in the office to be shredded, and then give your test materials back to me in alphabetical order. And this is the final slide of this particular PowerPoint, and this is for 6th grade science. Anybody who will be administering or proctoring 6th grade science. Urgent information that I have just received about the Applied Skills Science Assessment. The number of minutes for the ISTEP Applied Skills Science has been increased by 5 minutes over previous years, as indicated below, to be 5 minutes of instruction time and 30 minutes of work time. The testing time for science in the TCM and the front of grade 4 and grade 6 is correct. However, the times located in the examiner's manual are not correct, as they indicated 25 minutes of student work time. Please be sure that you provide students with 30 minutes of work time during the ISTEP Applied Skills Science Assessment. So it'll be a 35-minute session for the 6th grade Applied Skills Science, 5 minutes for instruction and 30 minutes for work time. And that is all I currently have. I'll be putting more stuff up on my Weebly under the teachers page. If you have any questions or any concerns with any of this, please contact me and we will get it all sorted out. All right, thanks guys.